On June 22, 2013, darkness enveloped the Parbat base camp in Nanga. High in the Himalayas, exhausted climbers from 6 countries fell asleep in their tents, unaware that a horror was about to come. Suddenly, gunmen in military uniforms broke into the camp. Screams echoed in the thin mountain air, and panic quickly spread. The climbers were dragged out of their tents, had their hands tied, and were forced to kneel on the cold ground. Then, gunshots broke through the silence of the night one after another. At dawn, 11 people were killed, including a local guide. What prompted these attackers in one of the most remote places in the world? Kill the defenseless climber next time. Let's delve into the details of that horrific night. Nanga Parbat is 8,126 meters above sea level, known as the Killer Peak, Gilgit-Baltistan region of Kashmir controlled by Pakistan. It has magnificent natural landscapes, also known for political instability. The region has witnessed growing unrest over the years. Sectarian conflict, activist activities, and limited intelligence. In recent years, northern Pakistan become a safe haven for extremist groups such as the Taliban's Pakistani branch. May 2013, US drone strikes Taliban leader Valai Rahman and shot him to death. A month later, the attack was an act of retaliation by the Taliban. The Taliban responded quickly. A new faction genre is formed, explicitly view foreigners as symbols of Western influence. Aim at this. Nanga Parbat base camp is generally considered a peaceful place, surrounded by towering peaks and glacier. However, this time he became the battlefield for the attackers' revenge. Around 1 p.m. on June 22, 2013, the base camp of Nanga Parbat is about 4,200 meters above sea level. Silence all around. Climbers from all over the world gather here. Among them were 3 Ukrainians, 2 Slovaks, 2 Chinese, a Chinese American, a Lithuanian, and a Sherpa from Nepal. They came here to challenge Nanga Parbat, this extremely dangerous mountain. At the same time, 16 armed attackers quietly approached the base camp from the foot of the mountain. They have been hiking continuously for more than 18 hours. Target this remote camp. They coerced 2 kidnapped local guides, acting as a guide at gunpoint. The guide had to lead them forward. The attackers wore uniforms similar to those of local security forces. This camouflage allows them to easily infiltrate target areas. They are well equipped, carrying AK-4 rifles, beaters rope, and a plan full of killing. The silence of the night concealed their arrival. 10:30 p.m. The attackers reached the outskirts of the base camp. The sound of wind blowing leaves. The attackers were divided into groups. Each is responsible for attacking the designated tent. They took action quickly. No warning at all. There are about 25 people in the entire base camp, including climbers and local staff. It only took a few minutes. The attackers took control of all foreign climbers. Attackers demand climbers hand over passports, money, and mobile phone. Confusion turns to fear. The attackers shouted loudly in plain language and absorbing language. These languages are completely foreign to most climbers. At gunpoint, kidnapped guide forced to act as translator. Communicate the attacker's demands. Many climbers are still in their sleeping bags. He was roughly dragged out of the tent again. Pretend to tie hands behind your back. Forced to line up and kneel on the ground. 10:45 p.m. After the attacker collected the stolen goods, start destroying all communications equipment. Includes satellite phone, walkie-talkies, and radio equipment. Prevent someone from calling for help. Their actions are very orderly. At the same time, climbers shivering with fear and cold, waiting for fate to come. By 11 p.m., attackers began testing hostages' knowledge of Islamic religious rituals. They require climbers to recite a prayer, but for most foreigners, this is completely incomprehensible. The tense atmosphere is almost suffocating. The attacker paced back and forth behind the kneeling climber. Climber's face pressed against the cold ground, breathing heavily. It's all fear. Lithuanian climber tries to argue he's not American. This is a desperate self-rescue, but to no avail. The attackers showed no mercy. One of the gunmen pointed his weapon at Chinese-American Chen Honglu. People try to resist. Throw yourself at the attacker. This move not only failed to stop the violence, on the contrary, it intensified the brutality of the attackers. Another attacker quickly opened fire, hit Chen in the back. He fell to the ground. Chen's death disrupted the attackers' original plans. They originally planned to use him as a hostage to achieve more demands. Because of this accident, the attackers accelerated their killing spree. 11:15 p.m. The climber is still kneeling on the ground, pretending to have hands tied. The attackers began executing one by one. 3 Ukrainian climbers were the first to be killed. Their bodies collapsed in the darkness. then 2 Slovaks, Lithuanian and Chinese climbers. In the end, the Sherpa guide in Nepal was also killed. The attacker moved quickly and shot at close range. Some climbers died on the spot. Others struggled in pain for a moment before stopping to breathe. At the same time, the attackers shouted slogans while killing. Osama bin Laden's name mentioned. Claims the massacre was a drone strike. Revenge that led to the death of Taliban leader. The killings continued until 11:45 p.m. 11 people died. These include 10 foreign climbers and a local guide. The leader of the attackers sends a signal, declare the end of the action. After confirming that there are no survivors, they fired a few more shots. Make sure no one is alive. They chanted slogans, claimed to have defeated a cult on the holy mountain. Midnight. The attackers quickly evacuated. They started to go down the mountain, rushed to a remote village. Planned to take off the uniform there, mix with local residents. They act cautiously. Even time is tight. Because military rescue operations may begin at dawn. 1 o'clock in the morning. The surviving local staff in the Abeng camp began to rescue themselves. They untied the rope, saw bodies scattered on the ground. The blood-stained scene is chilling. Dawn's name is Shia. Pakistani climber of Han, was originally a member of this expedition, although he survived. But I witnessed the entire massacre. Hugely traumatized inside, he and other survivors tried to check on the fallen climber. Are there any signs of life? But it's too late. The camp is in a mess. Broken tent, scattered items, and the pervasive smell of death suffocating. 1:30 am, a Chinese climber hiding in a ravine. Jing Junan carefully climbed out of his hiding place. He quickly returned to camp, using a hidden satellite phone, make a distress call. This is the first signal for help. His message was relayed quickly. Rescue operation begins to deploy. At the same time, the attackers struck at around 5 am, arrive at a remote village. They hurriedly buried the uniforms, put on local clothes, pretend to be an ordinary citizen. At dawn, they have completely gone into hiding in Gilgit, in the mountains of Baltistan. Move quietly. No obvious traces left. 6 o'clock in the morning. Pakistan military's nearest air base from Skardu. Emergency helicopter dispatch. After an hour's flight, helicopter arrives at Nanga Parbat base camp. What the army saw was shocking. Bodies scattered in front of the tent. Some people are still tied up and stained with blood. Medical staff quickly took action. But it's too late. All 11 climbers have died. The few surviving local staff are still in shock. Trying to tell rescuers about last night's horrific events. 7:30 am. Operation Destiny officially launched. Survivors were airlifted to safety. The bodies of the victims were carefully collected and prepared for transport. The camp was dead silent. Damaged tent, scattered equipment and shocking bloodstains. Unspeakable. One survivor, Jing Junan, described the horrific attack. His narration makes it clear. This was no accidental violence. It was a well-planned attack. In Islamabad, the attack triggered a strong shock. For the Pakistani government, it's a huge shame. Outsiders have raised doubts. How did this incident happen? Why is there no protection at the base camp? Within a few hours,
Pakistan Intérieur Ministère Nizar Bari.
Han took decisive action. Gilgit-Baltistan Police Inspector General and Chief Secretary suspended. The reason is that they failed to ensure the safety of climbers. Pressure increased as he promised to launch an in-depth investigation. June 24, Nisar revealed while speaking in the National Assembly, a special investigation team has been established responsible for tracking the attackers. The team was headed by Army Chief of Staff Ashfaq, led by Alviz Kayani. Members include Pakistan's Inter-Service Intelligence Director Zahir Islam as well as local police officers from Gilgit-Baltistan. Speed of investigation is critical because the world is watching. Pakistan's international image is in jeopardy. At the same time, the local Traditional Elders Committee Georgia also joined the investigation. As a community leader, they know the terrain. Residents and Liuyang can help authorities track attackers hiding in mountains and valleys. The initial investigation was carried out very quickly. Within 48 hours, investigation team in village near Nanga Parbat. Start a search. 37 suspects arrested. These include porters, villagers, and other locals. However, the investigation soon revealed most of these people had nothing to do with the attacks, just porters working for the mountaineering team. After a trial on June 26, 33 suspects released. But their testimony provides some key clues. Eyewitnesses stated days before the attack, they saw some armed men moving quietly in the area. seems to be approaching base camp. June 27. The investigation made a major breakthrough. With the help of Georgia, investigative team identifies 16 attackers. 10 of them are from the ancient land of Diamir. The remaining 6 people are from Manasera and Kohistan regions. Although these attackers were locals, but his training background can be traced back to the federally administered tribal areas, a militant stronghold about 760 kilometers away from the incident. They are not ordinary criminals, but carefully trained, deeply embedded in radical networks. The manhunt began to become more focused. June 30, investigators launched a raid in the nearby town of Zira. It is often used as a hideout by criminals and militants. They found one of the attackers, Shafi. Mohammed was arrested after hiding in a house. This arrest is a major breakthrough. Shafi's confession reveals detailed planning of attack and its association with local networks. Same day, investigative team arrests another attacker in Zira. These arrests bring hope, but people know this is just the beginning. In the next few days, the manhunt continues. Police and military are constantly tracking targets. July 6, another suspect arrested in Zira. Although the investigation has made progress, but progress is still slow. Until July 15, only 4 of the 16 attackers were arrested. This development disappointed many. Includes members of the Senate Standing Committee on Foreign Relations. They held a special meeting, demand faster results. Gilgit-Baltistan Chief Secretary Yunus Dogger gave a briefing at the meeting. He explained, the attack was completely unexpected. Since 1854, there has never been a murder of a foreign tourist here. However, the senators were not satisfied with this. They emphasize intelligence agencies are tasked with meeting such threats, even in seemingly safe areas. Another tragedy occurred on August 7. Gunmen ambushed a car in Shira, 3 more security officers' vehicles. Fox killing incident. The attack occurred at noon. 3 officials died on the spot. The incident triggered immediate military action. August 8. Pakistani troops enter Zilla in full force. This is the first time since the Nanga Parbat attack. Army deployed to the area for the first time. The town is completely blocked. Import and export are controlled. Military helicopters circle overhead for reconnaissance. Operation targets 4 specific locations. These locations are believed to be hideouts for the attackers. Until August 11, several suspects arrested again, but the identity has not been disclosed. The military's presence in the area sends a clear message. The hunt for the attackers will never stop. August 19, the investigation has made another significant progress. Police with support from military intelligence successfully arrested the remaining attackers. A total of 20 people were eventually arrested. These include corps personnel who were directly involved in the Nanga Parbat massacre. They also include one of the main planners of the attack. Another suspect was also arrested for his role in an ambush on security officials on August 7. Relevant departments confirmed these people not only participated in the Nanga Parbat massacre, it has also been implicated in other violent incidents such as the 2012 massacre of Shiites in Kohistan. Despite the remarkable results of the arrests, but the case is far from being brought to fruition. By mid-2014, the suspects' confessions are beginning to be questioned. Among the 18 people arrested, only 5 people remain in custody. Some suspects claim they were forced to confess under torture. Others are suspected of being involved in other cases. Not the Nanga Parbat attack. One of the suspects even managed to escape. He hides in the dense forests of DML. And provoking the authorities by recording audio recordings of radical poetry. These complex circumstances make the investigation and conviction of the case extremely difficult. February 27, 2015. The case takes a dramatic turn. 2 prisoners escape from jail in Gilgit district. One of them is Kabib Ulman, one of the main suspects in the Nanga Parbat attack. He fled into the mountains. The authorities immediately launched a large-scale manhunt. However, as of March 4, no trace of him has been found. Gilgit-Baltistan Home Ministry announces reward of Rs 20 lakh. Provide any clues about his whereabouts. But in the face of elusive suspects and many unsolved mysteries, the case has not yet been fully resolved. As one of the survivors, Shiahan reflects on the aftermath of the incident. He admitted that even after 2 years, the trauma still lingers. He often suffers from insomnia. The sound of gunshots seems to be echoing in my ears. The figure of the fallen climber appeared before my eyes. He admitted that he was burdened with a heavy sense of guilt. Also because he survived the massacre. Others were brutally murdered. He said that for him, the mountains we once loved are now shrouded in the shadow of fear. He never dared to go near the base camp again. I feel like those places are no longer safe. At the same time, Turkish climber Donk Fink experienced the attack from another perspective. That night in June 2013, Fink is at Camp 2, about 1,000 meters above base camp, preparing for the final summit. He heard Ling Xing's gunfire, but it's impossible to tell what happened in the camp. He stayed in the tent confused and scared. Stayed out all night. The next morning, he learned about the tragedy in the camp. Fink and his team carefully began to descend the mountain. Passing by the base camp, the helicopter has arrived. The scene before me is shocking. The tent is riddled with bullet holes, equipment scattered all over the floor. Dead silence all around. The mountain became more than just a geographical challenge. It has become a land full of memories of former friends. Despite this, Fink is determined to return to Nanga Parbat again. He believes that only in his own way reconquer this mountain. Only in this way can we truly heal our inner wounds. By 2022, he once again attempted to climb Nanga Parbat. But every time we encountered the threat of avalanches and bad weather, but unfinished business, driving him back to this dangerous land again and again, from a broader perspective. Attack forces Pakistan to rethink how to enhance security in remote areas, especially like Gilgit, Baltistan like this, regions where tourism is the mainstay of the economy. After the attack, number of foreign tourists dropped sharply. Local residents who rely on the mountaineering economy, severely affected. To restore the trust of the international community, the authorities have stepped up military deployment in key areas. Also in place are new safety protocols for foreign climbers. Yet the shadow of fear still lingers. These mountains once symbolized the spirit of adventure and natural beauty. Now it has a darker reputation.